Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and this is my 31 days of horror movie reviews. And because I have been watching so much Dracula based movies, Nosferatu based movies, I kind of figured, why the fuck not? Why not take a trip back down memory lane? Because I have seen this before, but it's been quite a long time. I'm talking about Van Helsing. And as you can see, I own this goddamn movie. This is a 2004 film that was written and directed by Stephen Sommers, which that name sounded familiar. I looked him up and saw that, oh yeah, he directed those Brendan Fraser Mummy movies, which the first one was tons of fun, but man, those sequels. And I'm going to be upfront. I'm going to be completely honest. When I saw this back in the day, when it first came out, I liked it. I did. And granted, 2004, I was about 15 years old. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I definitely did not care as much about maybe story and writing and acting and characters and whether or not these were good. I just said, ooh, action? Ooh, CGI? Ooh, sparkles and squirrel? Like, whatever was on screen, I was kind of all down for. And so, rewatching this was a trip. Rewatching this is sort of made me have to realize, like, smack in the face over how not good this movie truly is. First things first, the very beginning, I don't remember it being in black and white the way that it did. There's a part of me that wants to say, hey, kudos for trying to pay homage to the old Universal type monster movies, but when you get what you get after that, why did you even bother? In fact, maybe this movie would have looked a lot better, special effects wise, if the entire thing was black and white. So, yeah, you see Dracula creating Frankenstein's monster, or at least having Frankenstein create the monster, and because he wants to maybe control it or use it to create more like baby vampire bats. I don't really know what the fuck Dracula is trying to do or why it's that big of a deal. I guess he wants to prove he can create life. He wants to be better than God. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit. And it all goes wrong. Frankenstein ends up getting chased by the villagers and winds up underground, whatever the fuck. And we cut to like a year later, and Van Helsing is played by Hugh Jackman. And truth be told, Hugh Jackman being cast as Van Helsing is the sole reason why I saw this movie back in the mid 2000s when I did. Because at the time, he was kicking ass as Wolverine. I loved him in those X-Men movies. And so when I was like, oh, hey, that's Wolverine, I'm going to go watch this. In fact, I'm going to buy it. That's how long I've had this fucking movie. And so I watched this for him. I own this movie for him. And yes, he's pretty good in the film, just as far as Hugh Jackman's a capable actor. It's not like anybody's really looked at Hugh Jackman and said, okay, he's terrible or he's this and that. Maybe you don't like all of his movies, but I do think he brings that theater background in certain scenes where you're like, okay, you don't have to try this hard. Do you see what movie you're in? Like, it's not that fucking big of a deal. But hey, kudos and mad props to Hugh Jackman for at least trying. He does not half-ass it. He's top billing, so he probably got paid very handsomely. And hey, Hugh Jackman with the long hair, he looks pretty damn good. This is probably peak Hugh Jackman, although physique-wise, I guess peak Hugh Jackman is still years and years to come. So he is essentially like a hunter of all things supernatural. He works for the church, even though he's like wanted in Europe because they look at him as a murderer because he, whether accidentally or not, murders like Mr. Hyde, which, by the way, the CGI in this movie, holy fuck, does it look terrible. And I'm sure in 2004 or 5, whenever I saw this, I'm sure I thought it looked cool because at that time, you didn't get a lot of CGI movies. Like the use of CGI was so new and so fresh for like a teenager. I was like, hey, this is different, and you're not going to see any movie with effects like this now. Especially Mr. Hyde, I'm like, that looks like shit. Like, why are they going with a completely fully CGI character in 2004? Clearly not ready for high end CG, that type of technology. It just seems very misguided. And then I remember that this is directed by Steven Sommers, who, what did he do? He did The Mummy 2 when they had The Rock in all CGI as that scorpion half monster thingamajiggy, and that looked like shit just a couple years prior. So I guess he thought, hey, we got this down pack. We're going to get this right this time. And he did not learn his lesson. There's a ton of bad CGI throughout this movie. The werewolves, forget about it. Like, there's a part of me that likes the werewolf transformation when they, like, peel their skin off. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then when you see how shitty it looks in CG, I'm like, oh, fuck. Can we at least have tried a practical werewolf suit or even a mix? God damn it, a mix of practical and CG? Holy hell. I saw that the budget of this movie, I couldn't believe my eyes, $160 million. And I get that CG is probably more expensive than anything else, but there's no reason why with that budget you couldn't have done more practical than what they ended up doing. You have Richard Roxburgh, I think I'm saying his name right, or Roxburgh, as Count Dracula. And I don't mind this actor, honestly. Like, I think he's good enough with the material that he had to work with here. And looking at him, he strikes me as like a combination of Gary Oldman's Dracula and also Colin Farrell. Like, just in general, he kind of has that look and that accent to him. But I thought he did a fine enough job. I mean, it's not like this movie is as deep or as well written as any of the Nosferatu, Dracula type movies that I've been watching. This is very bare bones and pared down and dumbed down in a lot of ways. But I think he tried. I kind of found it interesting how much of Dracula's brides are in this movie. They do a lot as far as turning into their own creatures, flying around with their bat wings, and like I would say that all that's cool because it's different and it's unique and it actually makes the brides feel threatening to some extent. But the CG on that looks bad as well. It's like I almost want to say I like the design of them when they turn into those creatures, but when you see their face and the bad CG of their face superimposed onto the CG creature bodies, I'm like, oh, fuck. It's taking me out of it. Kate Beckinsale as this Anna character. Man, you almost forget just how fine Kate Beckinsale was back in the day. Don't get me wrong, she's still very attractive to this day, but back in 2004, she was the type of woman that men would go to war for. Kate Beckinsale was the type of woman that men would fight to the death, would build houses with their bare hands. Kate Beckinsale, okay, you get the point. She's hot as hell, all right? That's what she's here for, is to be attractive. I'm not going to say that her accent or whatever she was going for here was all that great, because it wasn't. But I'm going to give her a pass for so many reasons. Also, it's funny that I came to know Kate Beckinsale as an actress, just in general, from playing a vampire, Celine, in the Underworld movies. And then I jumped to this movie, and she's not a vampire. She's one of the lead heroes going against vampires. I don't know. I just kind of find that funny. It's around the same time. And she has this plot of like she's trying to save her brother, and they don't spend hardly any time with her brother to give a shit about when he gets turned into a werewolf. I mean, the moment when she finds out is supposed to be emotional and tragic, but I just don't give a fuck. And this actor that plays her brother, Will Kemp, I mean, he's a good-looking guy. I could definitely see him being cast in like a movie like this to probably get people to give a shit. But because the writing is so nothing, I was just like, okay, yeah, sure. Can we just kill the brother and move on? And how many times did Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale just stare at each other before I finally literally yelled at my TV and said, just fucking kiss already. Or fuck, whatever you guys need to do to get this out of your system so you can stop eye-fucking each other. Because there was a lot of that going on. Frankenstein's monster, of course, he comes back into the picture, and I'm not aware of the actor that plays him. I can appreciate that for the most part, it was a practical person in a practical suit, but I do not like the design of Frankenstein's monster. I just think it looks like shit, like design-wise, purely design-wise. Like I said, it's not fully CG like everything else in this goddamn movie, so I almost give it a pass, but even so, I just think they could have gone either more traditional or just better, you know, just as far as the way that he looks. And also, am I the only one, when I was younger, I used to call him Frankenstein until I finally realized, oh wait, no, Dr. Frankenstein is the Frankenstein and he's the monster. I'm sure everyone knew that. It was just me. There's a sidekick character named Carl who follows Van Helsing around. His name is David Winham, at least the actor, and I've seen him before in like other stuff, I think 300, but like, man, I don't see the point of his character. He could have been more annoying, don't get me wrong. His role felt like the super annoying comedy relief type sidekick that's there just to make the jokes. And I felt like the actor was trying to be more than that. He was trying to do more than that. Although ultimately you didn't need him in the film at all. He really was just there to be the comic relief. Also, I couldn't help but laugh. Given that, like I said, I watched this movie because Hugh Jackman was playing Wolverine at the same time. There's this random beat of a plot point where Van Helsing doesn't remember his past, and Dracula recognizes him and calls him Gabriel and says that they have this history together. And Van Helsing, Hugh Jackman, says, "How do you know me?" And I was like, "Is this Wolverine?" like, did we really just go with the whole Jason Bourne plot with Hugh Jackman in back-to-back films like this? That's kind of bizarre. And last but not least, this film, it's over 2 hours long. It does not need to be over 2 hours long. I just now got to a point watching it now that I was like kind of hoping for it to end or be over. I'm not going to say I hate this movie. I know there are other people that probably say they hate the movie. And like I said before, there was a time when I would say that I enjoyed this movie to some extent. And maybe there's that small part of me, a nostalgic part of me, that still finds the movie like dumb fun. But at the end of the day, I can't pretend like it's good. I can't pretend like it's something I would defend. Not at all. Not anymore. At least not until rewatching it. Rewatching it, I'm like, man, this movie does not hold up. At all. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below what do you think of Van Helsing, this movie. What did you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later. Soul's taken over by a devilish path. You got me walking on broken glass. Kicking down the door with a Jason mask. With a deck don't machete, but you motherfuckers know it's heavy. Anytime you're ready, you can get you with a Bowie. Setting up to blow me, but the bitch don't know me. Who's going, I'm going, you know